Joaquín El Chapo Guzman was once known as Mexico's most notorious drug lord. His rise to power came from humble beginnings in the rugged mountains of Sinaloa, where he grew up in poverty and turned to a life of crime to survive. He quickly rose through the ranks of the drug trade, gaining a ruthless reputation for violence and cunning that made him a legend in the criminal underworld. As El Chapo's power grew, so did his empire. He controlled vast networks of smuggling routes that moved tons of cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine into the United States. His wealth was staggering, with estimates placing his net worth in the billions of dollars. He lived a life of luxury, with multiple luxury mansions, private jets, and even his own private zoo. But for all his power and wealth, El Chapo was uneasy. He knew that every day he lived was a gamble, with rival cartels, corrupt officials, and the long arm of the law all working to bring him down. And his fears were well-founded. In 2014, he was captured by Mexican authorities after a bloody shootout in the resort town of Mazatlan. El Chapo's capture was a major victory for the Mexican government, but it was far from the end of his story. In 2015, he escaped from a maximum security prison through a tunnel dug into his cell. It was a brazen and audacious escape that stunned the world and embarrassed Mexican authorities. But El Chapo's freedom would be short-lived. In 2016, he was recaptured after a shootout in the town of Los Mochis, and this time, Mexican authorities were taking no chances. He was extradited to the United States, where he faced a slew of charges, including drug trafficking, money laundering, and murder. As El Chapo stood trial in a heavily fortified courtroom in Brooklyn, the full extent of his crimes was laid bare. Witnesses testified about the brutality of his reign, the countless lives lost in his bloody turf wars, and the sheer scale of his criminal operations. It was a sobering reminder of the human cost of his empire. In the end, El Chapo was convicted on all charges and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. His empire was dismantled, his assets seized, and his family left to pick up the shattered pieces of their lives. The once feared drug lord was now just another inmate, locked away in a high-security prison, his name a byword for violence and corruption. For those who had witnessed El Chapo's rise and fall, it was a stark reminder of the fleeting nature of power and the consequences of a life lived outside the law. His story was a cautionary tale of hubris and greed, of a man who thought himself untouchable and